What's up, Commander Line? What's up, Commander Line? About a week ago, I sat right here and told y'all, hand Sonny Styles the defense. I said that very clearly and plainly. Then you got Joshua Dobbs. Read action to the crib on our defense. And that clip hit the internet, and I immediately knew what was going to happen. Half of the Commanders fan base and social media started going in. You know what I'm saying? Hand Sonny Styles a pink slip, son. All right, maybe hand Gerard B one right along with him. People started asking whether Sonny is too slow to process, whether he is too soft taking on blocks, whether Washington reached for an off-ball linebacker with their draft pick, and somehow after 2 preseason games, whether this man is already a bust. Sometimes you can't listen to the outside noise, gang. But now we have something better than one viral play. Shout you out NFL draft files on X. They posted every Sonny Styles snap. That's a tongue twister. Sonny Styles snaps from Detroit. All right, and when people started watching the entire reel, the conversations y'all like changed a little bit. All right, some still saw a rookie who did not make enough plays. Others saw a linebacker playing faster, stepping downhill, you know what I'm saying, playing with conviction, transitioning cleanly into coverage, you know what I'm saying, and showing the closing speed when the ball arrived. So that's why I'm not hiding from my take. Not at all. I'm putting that receipt right here on the table. If y'all ever played dominoes, I'm slapping down that double six. Bow. Was I too early when I said hand Sonny Styles of defense? Did Detroit expose the exact weakness that could prevent him from becoming the centerpiece Washington drafted him to be? Or did the full tape show a young linebacker already correcting the exact things DQ and Devontae Jones asked of him to correct after Miami? All right, and this question is bigger than one rookie. All right, the AP used the pick on the wrong player when other rookies, including other linebackers, are already flashing around the league. Are we going to examine the touchdown everybody is arguing about? All right, then we're going to go through the rest of his snaps because one play can expose a problem while still lying to you about the entire performance. So we're going to separate the assignment from the technique, activity from impact, and development from production. Okay? Then we're going back to the draft board and comparing Sonny with players Adam Peters could have selected or possibly traded down to acquire. At the end, I'm going to give you my updated AP stress level test. Not where the internet says it should be, not where Sonny Styles fans want it to be, but where the evidence says it should be. Before we call a 21-year-old rookie a bust, we need to understand that we are actually grading a linebacker. Okay? A linebacker does not receive the ball and reveal his entire assignment to the television camera, bro. His job changes with the front, with the motion, the option rules, the coverage rules. You know what I'm saying? The calls coming through his helmet. That does not excuse bad technique, not at all. It means we have to evaluate the correct failure. Now roll my intro. So here's what the conversation is all built around, though. Detroit shows that read option, all right, that read option action. The running back crosses the quarterback's face. Joshua Dobbs read the defense. He keeps the football and takes it 50 yards to the crib. Boy was skating. The viral version is hella simple. Sonny got cooked. He got blocked. He ain't have no fight. Dobbs ran past him. Therefore, Sonny gave up the touchdown. Yeah, that version hella easy and stupid. It's incomplete. On an option play, the defense divides responsibility between the quarterback and the running back. All right, depending on the call, the edge defender may own the quarterback, while the inside linebacker, he owns the running back. The defense might also scrape exchange, you know what I'm saying, depending on the responsibilities. All right, so we don't have Devontae Jones' play sheet or the call from him. What we can see is Sonny flowing with the running back. Okay, we can also see that the quarterback contained got broken down. Joshua Josephs, he played the mesh point wrong, in my opinion, and squeezed down way too far. A good teaching moment for that man, because when we play against the Eagles, like I said, he got to make sure he don't do that. All right. And Dobbs kept the ball with open grass in front of him. Also, Will Harris did not scrape over top to have the proper angle to make sure that he wasn't caught up in the wash. All right, so that makes it irresponsible to look at one television angle and declare with certainty that it's all Sonny's fault, man. It's all the new kid on the block fault, man. But I refuse. I do refuse to sit here and just be my man Sonny's defense attorney, okay? Because even if his assignment was a running back, Sonny still gets reached and sealed way too easily, dog. Like 6'5", 244, I get it. That size creates rev range and coverage potential, but it also creates a natural leverage problem for that man. NFL blockers will have opportunity to get underneath of him if he does not strike first, sink his hips, and separate with his hands. He got to do all of those things. On that play, he allows the blocker to control the relationship. His pass is way too high. His hands do not create separation quickly enough. And once Dobbs keeps the ball, Sonny ain't got the angle nor the freedom to recover, son. That's a fair criticism. Okay, now saying he was solely responsible for the touchdown without knowing the call is speculation. Saying his block destruction was not good enough, that's film evaluation. Effort, assignment, and technique are three different questions. Mixing them together gives you a louder argument, not a more accurate answer, though. So my answer on the viral play remains the same. I cannot prove Sonny had the quarterback responsibility, and neither can you. I can prove he must become more violent and technically sound against blocks. But the new cut up, you know what I'm saying? With all the plays, it forces us to ask a better question. All right. Was that one ugly result representative of the other 14 snaps he played? Or did we let that touchdown become the entire game because it was the splash play? Forget one viral frame, son. Let us grade the pattern. All right, so let's clean up some numbers real quick. All right, Sonny played 14 defensive snaps against Miami. PFF gave that man for his debut a 71.1. Earned a 65.6 run defense grade and a 65.5 coverage grade. Did not miss a tackle. He was aligned even at edge rusher for 2 snaps, so he was moving around a lot. Against Detroit, played about the same amount of snaps at 15 defensive snaps. All right. The production was quiet. 1 tackle, no splash plays, no negative play that changed the game. Right? Now, the PFF grade will probably be around the same, to be honest with you, about a 70. Okay? And that's fine for a vanilla type of defense. All right? So I'm not going to sit here and be like, listen, he cooked. The Miami grade remains the only preseason grade we can responsibly cite. I get it. But the Detroit evaluation has to come from the film we can actually see. All right, the film is already better than last week. Not dominant, not a breakout, but better. All right, that distinction matters because DQ said after the Miami game that Sonny did not get downhill enough and did not take a shot when the opportunity appeared. Sonny himself identified the footwork, hands, and block shedding as areas that he has to improve on. The Detroit Real gives us evidence that he responds to the downhill part of the coaching, for sure. Okay, on one replay, on one reply under the cut up, right? So I was looking at the NFL draft files. Little John, I was in their little replies. I was like, let me see what they talking about, what the community talking about. All right. Some of the strongest arguments for Sonny, you know what I'm saying, or against Sonny, if you will, the argument was, look, on the run looks, he's stepping forward with aggressive anticipation. When the picture becomes pass, he transitions cleanly into his drop. Okay, and when the receiver catches the ball, his closing speed shows up immediately. So that's a legitimate film argument, but let me sharpen it because I don't want to turn a good defense into another exaggeration. Okay, check this out. An inside linebacker stepping forward is not automatically correct on every snap. Okay, his first step depends on the key, the front, the backfield action, and the call. A false downhill step against play action can open that exact window in offense once. All right, so I'm not going to say nothing, but check out Arvell Reed's tape. His first step so violent, like he jumps like a whole yard and a half ahead. That's crazy work, man. Okay? But what the full reel does show is decisiveness. He's not frozen at the snap. He's not taking false steps. He is not waiting for the play to declare itself before moving. His feet are active. His weight is forward, and he's trying to meet the run before it reaches him. That is a response to coaching. Second, the run-to-pass transition is smooth. All right, when the picture changes, Sonny can redirect into his drop without looking stiff or losing control of his body. At 6'5", that movement skill is different. Different than any normal box linebacker you're going to see. Third, the closing speed is hella real. When the ball arrives underneath, Sonny erases space quickly. That does not make every completion a coverage win. Sometimes closing after the catch is just damage control. All right, but it confirms the athletic toolsiness that we drafted with that man. Now, here's the honest balance. The full Detroit trait weakens the argument that Sonny is slow, lost, or incapable of processing NFL action. His first step is more assertive. His transitions are clean, and his range is showing up. The tape does not yet prove that he is creating the impact that we're looking for a top 10 pick. Understandably so. He still has to play lower against contact. He still has to strike before the blockers control his chest. He still has to turn a good trigger into a TFL. We have not got that yet. A forced throw, a pressure, or a stop that changes the possession. In due time, y'all. But pad level remains the first concern for me. At his height, he cannot give NFL guards and tight ends and tackles a chance to access his chest homes. All right. Hands remain the second most important thing. He has a length to stay clean, but the length only matters if you use it first. Lock them arms out, my dude. All right, hit them boys with them swim moves. The trigger is moving in the correct direction, though. Now he has to produce constant disruption. And the finish still matters. Closing speed is encouraging, but when you're a top 10 pick, eventuality, you gotta arrive before the completion, bro. You gotta arrive violent, defeat the block, and finish the play. Okay. So my updated Sonny evaluation is simple. The development is visible. The production is pending. That is not a bust verdict. It is also not a victory lap. Context buys patience, though. Okay. It does not buy immunity. All right. You do not get immunity on this island. Whether this development curve becomes a draft problem depends on what Adam Peters passed up, though. Let's get into it. So in Washington selected Sonny Styles in the draft. Adam Peters was not merely choosing a good player. He was making a value statement. He was saying an off-ball linebacker was worth passing on premium positions because this particular linebacker was different. Bigger than everybody else, faster than everybody else, more versatile than everybody else, more capable of controlling the defense than the average prospect. That's the bet we grading on. So let us begin with Arvell Reese because his name will always appear in this conversation. Thank you, Giants fans, for always being in our blogosphere, if you will. You know what I'm saying? He was selected fifth by the Giants in his first preseason appearance. He posted an 88.2 PFF grade, the highest among 2026 first round rookies that week, with 2 tackles at defensive stop and no missed tackles in 12 snaps. That's impressive. It's not an indictment though. All right, of Adam Peters because Arvell Reese was already gone. Okay, we can only acquire him by trading up, and we do not know whether the 5th pick was available or what the Giants would have demanded. All right, so that's not what we're looking at. At number 8, you got New Orleans selecting Jordan Tyson. All right, we had legitimate receiver questions, but Jordan Tyson injured hamstring and expected to miss roughly 2 months. Yo, we dodged that bullet. There is no early regret available there. At number 9, Cleveland selected the tackle Spencer Fano. Now, Fano allowed only 2 pressures on 22 pass blocking snaps in his first preseason game, earned a solid 70.8 pass blocking grade, but his run blocking pulled the overall grade down. The offensive line, right, who is a very interesting conversation. Okay, it's a very interesting conversation, and I'm not gonna hold you. Right now, we wasn't gonna draft no tackle. I get that. All right, but the offensive lineman who creates a more interesting conversation is Francis Mauioga, selected 10th by the Giants. He moved from college tackle to right guard and allowed 0 pressures across 15 pass blocking snaps in his debut. Earned a 73.5 pass blocking grade and a 66.5 overall grade. You know why that's funny? Because we are trying to stabilize the interior around Jaden Daniels. Mauioga does not automatically solve the center, but a powerful young guard would change the long-term map of this offensive line. Caleb Downs, he went 11th to Dallas. Played only 7 preseason snaps, all right, with no targets and no tackles. That's nothing meaningful to grade yet, not at all. Caden Proctor went 12th to Miami and played left guard against Washington. Yo, he allowed 0 pressures, and he earned an 80.9 pass blocking grade. His run blocking grade was horrible, though, 44.9. Promising evidence in one phase, but not a completed verdict yet, all right? Then we reached a name that should make Adam Peters pundits like, yeah, fire AP because he got it wrong. Rueben Bain Jr. I feel like everybody got that joint wrong. They was overthinking that. 10 base selected that man 15th, young. He plays a premium position. He brings that pass rush power, disruption, and the ability to collapse the pocket. All right. And limited preseason work, he immediately is flashing explosive pressure, young. All right. And he's one of Tampa's defensive standouts by far. All right. And that's the cleanest direct alternative to selecting Sonny Styles. Now, Bain was available at number 7. We needed front 7 disruption. Edge pressure is more difficult, all right, and more expensive to find an off-ball linebacker play. Now, if Bain becomes an immediate pass rusher, you know what I'm saying, impact pass rusher, while Sonny Styles still spends his rookie season learning how to defeat blocks, the positional value argument will become loud. And it should. That does not mean Bain was automatically the correct pick, though. It means he is a player who places the most legitimate pressure on AP's decision, though. Even though he did what he had to do in the offseason by bringing in the likes of a Caleb Von Chason and Aldafe Owe, who are injured right now, by ironically. But after the first wave of alternatives, my stress meter for AP is not flashing red or orange, Holmes. Tyson is injured. Fano is promising, but he's redundant with our tackle investment. Caleb Downs barely played. Proctor and Maui-Yoga have encouraging pass protection samples, but not enough evidence in the run game or consistency, if you will. Bain is the only one blinking yellow in my book, son. All right, but the deeper stress test is not whether Washington should have selected a different player at 7. It is whether Washington needed to select a linebacker at all in the first round. Okay, because we entered the draft with only 6 selections. Now that made the draft capital hella valuable. It also made a trade down from number 7 attractive if a real offer existed. We tried, it didn't work. We have to include that final condition because imaginary trades are always undefeated. You know how we was active. We was hella active on that joint when we were doing our mocks. Our fans can move down, collect 2 premium picks, and still draft their favorite player. You know how we was doing? We was moving crazy. All right, we thought we was the next great Howie Roseman, Adam Peters, or whoever your favorite GM is. You know what I'm saying? Real general managers need a willing partner, though, an acceptable return and confidence that the desired player will remain available. But the linebacker class gives the counter argument some real substance. Okay, check this out. Miami selected Jacob Rodriguez at number 43. Rodriguez has already earned early green dot opportunities, impressed during camp, and produced strong early grades in run defense and coverage. The box score production is modest, but the mental responsibility and early consistency are noteworthy for a second-round linebacker. Tennessee, they selected Anthony Hill Jr. at number 60. All right, Anthony Hill pushing for a starting role, intercepted 2 passes during 1 camp practice, and then produced 6 tackles and an INT against Seattle. Now we have a legitimate front office question. Could Washington have done something different, maybe acquired additional capital, and still selected a premium player at another position and still found a starting caliber linebacker on day 2? Maybe. You know what they say about hindsight. But we cannot pretend Rodriguez and Hill are the same prospect as Sonny Styles. All right, Sonny's combination of height, speed, coverage, background, communication ceiling is why he went where he went. Washington drafting that man was the most polished rookie in August. You know what I'm saying? We're not drafting him to be that. All right, we drafted him because he's the player who's going to eventually erase matchups and control the architecture of the defense. Anthony Hill producing an interception in August does not prove he will become a better professional. Jacob Rodriguez wearing a green dot does not eliminate Sonny's rare athletic ceiling. It does establish a standard, though. If later linebackers provide comparable leadership and more immediate production, Sonny must eventually deliver the difference that justifies the premium investment. He must cover players those linebackers cannot cover. A Bijan Robinson. He must become a pressure piece that cannot he must become that pressure piece. Point blank period. You know what I'm saying? Those others might not become that. He has to become that. He must make the defense more flexible, all right, because of his presence. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, we just spent a high pick on production that other teams 40 or 50 selections later getting. That's crazy. So that's the Adam Peters stress test in one sentence. The pick is not wrong because another rookie made an exception. The pick becomes wrong if Sonny's rare traits never create rare impact. The Detroit cut-ups give us reason to believe those traits are beginning to translate. All right, it does not tell us whether they will become impact, but it brings me back to my original statement. Hands Sonny Styles of defense, do I still believe it? So here's my updated verdict. My Adam Peters stress level is a 3.5 out of 10. Not 0, because Rueben Bain plays a premium position and he's already flashing. Not 0, because Anthony Hill and Jacob Rodriguez are reminding us that productive linebackers were available much later. Not 0, because 15 Detroit snaps still produced only 1 tackle. No splash plays. Improvement is not the same thing as impact. But I am lowering the temperature in the room from a 5, 4.5 because the every snap joint shows something the viral clip did not, man. Sonny played with more decisive initial trigger, transition from the run action into pass drops without looking stiff or lost. Closing speed showed up, and those details lined up exactly with the coaching corrections that DQ and DJ gave him after Miami. get downhill, and take the opportunity when it appears. That is evidence of development. It is not evidence of domination. And I will not shy away from that. So, no, I ain't calling Sonny Styles a bust. I am also not handing him a crown because I made a video about that man. All right? When I said hand Sonny Styles defense, I was talking about responsibility and long-term ceiling. I was not promising he would look like Fred Warner today, y'all. The stand is still the standard. Sonny has to play lower, has to strike first, has to turn a good read step into disruption. He has to finish every rep with urgency. And eventually the communication praise has to become visible production. That is what a top 10 pick demands. Adam Peters did not draft a finished product. He drafted a rare one. Detroit gave us our first real evidence that the product is developing, y'all. Clap it up. The development is visible. The production is pending, though. That is why my concern is lower. But the stress test is still active, baby. We're going to stress test all AP draft picks. So I want to know, Hellraisers, where y'all stand after watching every snap, son? All right. Was Detroit clearly better? Are the same concerns still there? Or are you ready? Are you already believe Adam Peters selected the wrong player? Put your answers in the comments, Mo. And if you believe Washington should have drafted somebody else, name the player. Go ahead. Puff your chest out. All right. Don't just say it's the wrong pick. Put your alternative on wax, Holmes. All right. Same way I put my Sonny take out there. All right. And if you appreciate me appreciating y'all, you rocking with this Commanders coverage, bro, that do not hire from my own receipts, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to Gerard BTV, roll to 5K. Appreciate y'all for getting me there. All right. Join us, Mo. This was Gerard B on Gerard BTV, where burgundy and gold never folds. Hell raises what we do. Raise hell on me, and we raise hell on 3. Shout out to them Commanders Kings too, man. Yes, sir.